How many of you have walked into a meeting you'd been rehearsing for a week, and the minute someone looked at you and asked what you need, you shrank? What looks like a confidence problem is almost always real clarity. We think it's just knowing what we want. Like, I want the promotion, I want the raise, I want the lateral move into a different department. That's the surface layer. Real clarity goes deeper, and it's knowing what you want and believing you're entitled to it. And you cannot walk confidently towards something you haven't fully committed to deep in your soul. You're not wrong to want more. We absorb this idea that wanting too much out loud is a problem. And here's what I want you to hear. 3 questions that cut through everything. And I want to give you that level of clarity, soul clarity, the trifecta. Question 1. Enough already! You've worked harder, stayed later, smiled through it, you've shrunk yourself, you've overexplained yourself, you've apologized for yourself, and still walked away feeling like you were the problem. You weren't. You've been playing by rules that were never designed for you, and you're exhausted. You're done. I'm Coach Moby, and this is Enough Already, the podcast for women who are done performing and ready to heal, reclaim, and redefine what their life actually gets to look like when you step into your real power. No more shrinking, no more trying to be less or more, or whatever they need you to be. We're going to name exactly what happened, get free from it, and figure out what comes next. This is your space. This is your moment. Women, we are rising. Let's get into it. She was sitting across from her boss in a meeting she asked for. She had rehearsed every word. She had the data. She had the receipts. And when he asked her what she wanted, she said, "I'm just hoping we can talk about my future here." Just that one word. And she knew it. She felt it leave her mouth, and she wanted it back. Today, we're going to talk about that word and why it's costing you more than you think. How many of you have walked into a meeting you'd been rehearsing for a week, or maybe 2, and the minute someone looked at you and asked what you need, you shrank? Not because you didn't know what you wanted. You knew exactly what you wanted, but you came out of your mouth with this softer, smaller version of you. "I was just wondering. I was hoping maybe. I don't know if this is the right time, but..." Yeah, we're talking about that today. Because here's what I've noticed after more than 12 years of coaching over 2,000 professional women, and I mean really watching them, sitting with them, seeing what happens in the moment that matters the most. It's almost never a confidence problem. I know, stay with me. They're confident in their homes. They're confident with their friends. They're absolutely confident when they're talking about someone else's situation. But you put them in front of a decision maker or in a meeting where their future is on the line, and something shifts, something tightens. And we've been calling that confidence issues for years. And I want to retire that phrase completely. That's blaming the woman. Because what I've actually seen in 2,000 clients in every industry, every level, is that what looks like a confidence problem is almost always real clarity. Now, they're not sure what they want, not at the deepest level. Or when you go to say that thing, it's hitting up against this deeper level, this, you're not sure if you actually can get it, this, I don't know if I deserve it, or this, wow, saying it out loud scared me. And you cannot walk confidently towards something you haven't fully committed to deep in your soul. So today, we're starting there, at the matching of the clarity between your soul and what you know you want. Here's the thing about clarity, and I'm talking about it at this deeper level, not just, oh yeah, I know. We think it's just knowing what we want. Like, I want the promotion, I want the raise, I want the lateral move into a different department. That's the surface layer. Real clarity goes deeper, and it's knowing what you want and believing you're entitled to it and being willing to let other people know that you want it, even if they say no. A lot of our clients, we have had them negotiate severance agreements when they've gotten laid off or sometimes when they've gotten fired. And often we're able to help them get more than they got originally or to get something when they didn't get anything. Sometimes the company's like, no, we fired you. And in that case, they're not likely to extend a severance agreement. Even the ask has helped our clients feel like they're walking on cloud nine. So I want to say this. Most professional women may be good at layer one. Perhaps you can chat GPT a question or an answer or look up some textbook about communication. We know what we want. We're ambitious. It's been shown in the data that women are equally ambitious to men. We've ambitious since we've been little girls. And most educated women are now outranking educated men. But we've always been told to dial it back a little. Layer two is where that gets complicated. The believing I'm entitled to want it because somewhere along the way, in school, in our first jobs, in performance reviews that said you were great, but in a culture that keeps rewarding us for being collaborative and not being direct, we absorb this idea that wanting too much out loud is a problem. And we avoid being unliked because we're human. And we avoid rejection because we're human. So we want things quietly. We want them internally. And then we wonder why nobody's doing anything about it. And here's what I want you to hear. This level of clarity isn't intellectual. It lives in your body and your soul because your body is the feeling state of your soul. When you fully know what you want and believe you deserve it, it comes out of your mouth differently. The energy with those words is different. You don't sound like you're asking for a favor. If you know, you know. You sound like you're stating a fact. That's the shift we're making today. That what you want is not only what you deserve, what you should have, but it is a fact. You're owning it before you say it. So here's 3 questions that cut through everything. And I want to give you that level of clarity, soul clarity, the trifecta. 3 questions. And I want you to actually sit with these, not in your head. On paper, yes, write them down, but then I want you to feel them. Question 1, what do I actually want from this situation? Not what seems realistic, not what I think I can get. What do I actually want? Be specific, not I want to be recognized more. I want a title change to senior director with a salary of $185,000. I want to lead this project rather than support it. I want to be included in the quarterly leadership meetings. Specificity in everything you say is power. Vague gets vague. Vague brings vague to you. So question 2, do I believe I've earned it? Not whether someone else thinks you've earned it, whether you think you've earned it. And if the answer is mostly yes, but, that but is the work to do. That but is the story you're running that's going to soften every single word that comes out of your mouth the moment the ask comes. Question 3, am I willing to be visible about wanting this, even if the answer is no? This is a scary one because here's the thing nobody tells you. Having an ask declined doesn't damage your career. Staying quiet about what you want and should have because of what you bring to the table, that's what damages your career. Staying quiet means they're making decisions about your future with incomplete information. They're making decisions about you when you're not in the room. Staying quiet means the version of you they see is the version that doesn't need much. Oh yeah, pigeonholed as the one who can fill in everyone else's gaps. And that version of you does not get promoted. She gets stable. And she begins to rely on that stability as her certainty. She begins to rely on that stable certainty as what you're truly worth and what life is supposed to be. I really want to be concrete. with you because I think we're sometimes too abstract about this stuff. Clarity doesn't mean walking in and making demands. That's coming from your soul wounds. It doesn't mean be aggressive or pushy or any of these things women were told that they're being when they're actually being direct. Again, most of that is coming from a soul wound. Clarity sounds like, hey, I wanted to have this conversation because I'm ready to move into a senior leadership role. And I want to make sure that you understand that. Here's what I've delivered in the last 18 months, and here's where I want to go. What would make that move possible from your perspective? That's it. That's not aggressive. That's not too much. That's actually a gift to the person across the table, assuming that that's your boss, because now they know. Now they can work with that. Now they can either open a door or tell you something honest that you need to hear. What muddles it is I was thinking if there's any possibility. I know this might not be the right time. I just wanted to put it out there. That version. They hear it and they filed as she's not sure. They revisit this later. Research has shown that the reason incompetent men get advanced and promoted more than competent times 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 women is because of this very factor. What they say and how they are, whether they're asking for something or in a meeting, has so much confidence and clarity and alignment. They don't have to look at the data. They just know that they should get that promotion. That's what you're missing. And one of the reasons why you're missing it is because you're afraid to be that. I know that when someone makes a judgment on you being a weak communicator and not fully aligned, that allows them to take you off the list. Clarity gives something to respond to. Vagueness gives them permission to do nothing. She didn't really want it. We got to keep her in that slot because who else is going to do her job? This is exactly the kind of work that my Coach Moby was built to do with you. Not after you've walked out of the meeting and you're doing the debrief in your car. Where's your coach then? Before, the night before, the morning of, when you're still figuring out what you actually want to say and whether you actually believe you deserve it. Moby will ask you the hard questions. She'll sit with you through the clarity trifecta. She'll help you notice when your language is shrinking before you walk into the room. She runs on 12 years of my methodology and coaching. Every tool I use in real coaching sessions, and she's available when you need her most. Not next Thursday at our group call. In the moment, tonight. Either when you're spiraling or when you made a miss after a meeting and you're like, oh, Moby is right there. The link is in the show notes to get started on Moby. And seriously, go before the next big conversation because it changes everything. Our clients are raving about Moby and how she's keeping them focused and on track. So let's go into the one thing to stop, the one thing to start, and your truth to carry forward. One thing to stop. Stop calling it a competence problem. That's just blaming yourself. That label lets you off the hook on one hand, but it also deteriorates your sense of self. You just need to do the inner work, which is getting clear on what you want and really deciding at the soul level that is your truth, that you're entitled to want it. One thing to start. This week, write down the one thing you want most in your career right now. Specific and answer the trifecta. Do I actually want this? Do I believe I've earned it? Am I willing to be visible about it? Notice which question makes you uncomfortable. That's where to start. Here's your truth to carry forward. Clarity is not a feeling that arrives before you're asked. It's a decision you make, and it's soul alignment. And the moment you make it, really make it, the words will follow. You already know what you want. Now it's time to really own it and not to have all the filters that you were programmed to believe. You're not wrong to want more. Hey, before you go, if today's episode landed somewhere real, if something stirred you that haven't had space to look at, Moby is there for you tonight, not next week, tonight, and in every moment. Moby is my AI-powered coaching platform built on 30 years as a leader which was the basis of the 12 years of my coaching professional women into better roles, more money, happier lives. My methodology has lifted over 2,000 professional women, and I love seeing my clients succeed and thrive. Soul first. Moby will meet you where you are, ask you the questions that cut through the noise, and Moby will give you answers, not like ChatGPT drawn from the internet on theory, but actual real answers that have come from my coaching, and help you to do the soul work as well as the strategy, because that's what actually changes things. And in the morning, she can help calibrate you down and deliver to you a daily meditation for exactly what you feel you need the work for. Real answers in real time, and help you do the soul work. And that changes things in real life. And for a long time, your nervous system can stay calm. The link's in the show notes. Soul first, strategy next, every single time. We'll see you in the next episode. If today's episode hit home, share it with a woman who needs to hear it, because the best thing we can do is make sure no woman sits alone in an experience that has a name. You've been listening to enough already. I'm Coach Mo Fall. Please subscribe and like and comment so this can be sent to more women just like you who needs to hear there is a different way. Take good care.